The day my father died, the sky did not cry. The sun rose like it always did, warm and indifferent, as though nothing had changed. But in my chest, something had collapsed. My father, poor Obi, was not a rich man. He didn't own factories or fleet of cars. What he had was dignity, hard work, and a small family house built brick by brick with his own hands. That house stood on Chief Ejike Street, a quiet neighborhood where everyone knew him as Papa, the man who never cheated anyone, who greeted elders with respect, and who always said, "A good name is better than silver and gold." I was his last child. The one everyone explained away as too soft or not ambitious enough. My elder brothers, Dim, Chokomika and Onika, were different. Loud, confident, sharp-tongued. They had moved to the city years ago, chasing business and money. I stayed behind with my parents, taking care of them, running errands, managing the small provision shop my mother left behind before she passed. When my father took his final breath in the hospital, his hand was in mine. "Don't fight your brothers, Ifeanyi," he whispered. "But don't allow injustice either." I didn't know those words would soon become a prophecy. The funeral was grand, too grand for a man who lived simply. My brothers arrived in expensive cars, wearing dark sunglasses and flowing agbadas. They cried loudly in public, shouting, "Papa, Papa," as if grief was a competition. People praised them. "Oh, Pa Obi trained good sons," they said. No one noticed that I was the one who slept on the hospital chair for 3 weeks. No one noticed I was the one who bathed my father when he could no longer stand. After the burial, the elders gathered in the sitting room. The same sitting room where my father used to sit every evening with his radio. Dim, the eldest, cleared his throat. "Now that Papa is gone," he said, "we need to talk about the house." I felt my stomach tighten. "The house?" I asked carefully. "Yes," Chokomika nodded, smiling thinly. "Property matters should be settled quickly." An elder raised his brow. "But the body is not even cold yet." Dim waved it off. "Life must move on." That was when I knew something was wrong. 3 days after the funeral, my brother started holding meetings, without me. They would gather at night in Dim's hotel room in town. When I asked what they were discussing, Onika laughed. "Small things, Dim, adult matters." Adult matters. The house suddenly felt smaller. Colder. One evening, I overheard Dim on the phone. "The boy has no documents," he said. "He doesn't even know where Papa kept them." My heart pounded. I confronted him immediately. "What documents?" I asked. Dim looked at me slowly, then smiled. "Relax. You worry too much." But that night, I couldn't sleep. 2 weeks after my father's burial, I traveled to the next town to buy goods for the shop, like I always did. When I returned in the evening, something felt wrong. The gate was locked. Not our old rusty padlock. A new, shiny lock hung there. Confused, I knocked. No answer. I tried my key. It didn't fit. My chest burned. I knocked harder. Finally, the neighbor, Mama Ifeanyi, rushed out. "Ifeanyi, haven't you heard?" she asked nervously. "Heard what?" She hesitated. "Your brothers came this morning. They said they are renovating the house. They changed the locks." The ground tilted beneath me. "What about my things?" I whispered. She looked away. "I'm sorry, my son." That was the day I learned how fast blood can turn into strangers. I slept on a bench that night. The same street I grew up on suddenly felt hostile. Dogs barked at me like I was a thief. The next morning, Dim finally answered my call. "Why did you change the locks?" I demanded. "You don't own the house," he replied coldly. "We do." "We?" I laughed bitterly. Papa built that house for all of us. Exactly, he said. And we've decided. Decided what? That you should move on with your life. The line went dead. I sat there, shaking, not from fear, but from disbelief. I had nowhere to go. So I went to the only place left, the old family church. That was where Pastor Samuel found me sitting alone. After listening to everything, he sighed deeply. Your father trusted me, he said quietly. My head snapped up. He left something with me. He handed me an envelope, old, yellowed. Inside was a copy of my father's handwritten will. My hands trembled as I read. The house on Chief Ejike Street shall remain under the care of my younger son, Ifeanyi, who stayed with me and my wife till our last days. This is not because I love him more, but because he protected this home. Tears blurred my vision. My father had seen it coming. I didn't rush to fight. I waited. At the family meeting called by the elders, my brothers spoke confidently. Dim stood tall. As the first son, I will manage the property. I stood up slowly. I have something to say. They laughed. I handed the will to the eldest elder. The room fell silent as he read. Dim's face was drained of color. This is fake, Chukwemeka shouted. Pastor Samuel stepped forward. I witnessed it. The elders murmured. Shame filled the room like smoke. The locks were removed the same day. But something else broke permanently. Dim lost a major business deal weeks later. Chukwemeka's marriage collapsed under the weight of his greed. Onika stopped calling entirely. They got their share of the land elsewhere. But the house remained mine. Not because I fought, but because truth is patient. I renovated the house slowly. I kept my father's chair exactly where it was. Sometimes, I sit there and imagine him smiling. People now greet me differently. But I remember his words. Don't fight your brothers, but don't allow injustice. Moral of the story. The worst betrayal does not come from enemies. It comes from those who know exactly where it hurts. But even then, truth always finds its voice. Will Ifeanyi's brothers change from their evil ways and seek forgiveness? Will Ifeanyi forgive his brothers? Watch out for part 2.